You're in the Arctic, it's minus 40 degrees, the wind is howling, and you need to haul hundreds of pounds of supplies across frozen tundra just to survive. The only thing standing between you and death? A dog. Not just any dog, one of the oldest, most powerful, most loyal working breeds to ever walk this earth. This is the Alaskan Malamute. And trust me, once you know their story, you'll never look at them the same way again. The Alaskan Malamute is not a modern breed. We're not talking about something that was selectively developed in a kennel club over the last century or so. These dogs are ancient, and I mean genuinely ancient. Their story begins with the Malamute people, a semi-nomadic Inuit tribe who settled in the Alaska around the Kotzebue Sound, a remote stretch of coastline in what is now northwest Alaska. Anthropologists believe the Malamute and their dogs were present in Alaska for thousands of years, possibly dating back as far as 2,000 to 3,000 years. Some genetic studies suggest the Malamute shares ancestry with the earliest dogs that crossed the land bridge from Siberia to North America alongside humans, which means this breed's lineage could stretch back even further than that. We're potentially talking about one of the oldest domestic dog lineages on the planet. For the Malamute people, these dogs weren't pets in any casual sense of the word. They were essential to survival. The dogs were bred specifically for one purpose: pulling heavy freight sleds across brutal terrain over long distances. Not speed, that was the job of the Siberian Husky, but raw, sustained power and endurance. A team of Malamutes could haul thousands of pounds of food, supplies, and hunting equipment through conditions that would kill most animals. They were also used to hunt, helping to track and hold prey like seals and caribou, which only added to their value as working partners. What makes the Malamutes' relationship with their dogs particularly interesting is how they treated them. Unlike many other indigenous groups across the Arctic who kept working dogs in harsh conditions, historical accounts suggest the Malamute genuinely cared for their Malamutes. They were kept well fed, they were protected, and they were valued as partners rather than just tools. When you consider that the Malamute is one of the most affectionate and people-focused large breeds alive today, that history makes a lot of sense. That bond, that deep trust between human and dog, was bred in over thousands of years. It's not just a personality trait, it's history. The outside world didn't really take notice of the Alaskan Malamute until the mid to late 1800s, when Western explorers and traders began making more sustained contact with Alaska's indigenous populations. Early accounts from explorers described encountering powerful, wolf-like dogs that could haul extraordinary loads and withstand conditions that would be impossible for most breeds. The reputation of these dogs spread, but so did the problems. By 1896, gold is discovered in the Klondike region of Canada's Yukon, and within a year, tens of thousands of people pour into the far north. Then, in 1899, gold is found near Nome, Alaska, and the rush intensifies further. Everyone wants sled dogs, and they want them now. This created a massive and almost catastrophic problem for the Malamute as a breed. The demand for working sled dogs was so overwhelming that indiscriminate crossbreeding became rampant. Malamutes were mixed with any available dogs: setters, hounds, retrievers, all manner of breeds brought up from the south, in an attempt to produce dogs as fast as possible. The results were unpredictable, and the original Malamute breed was being diluted at an alarming rate. The problematic backyard breeders are by no means just a modern issue. By the early 1900s, the purebred Alaskan Malamute was genuinely at risk of disappearing altogether. The very boom that brought the world's attention to Alaska nearly wiped out one of its most remarkable native breeds. Then came the Antarctic expeditions, and with them, a turning point, thankfully. Admiral Richard Byrd was one of the most celebrated explorers of the 20th century, and his expeditions to Antarctica in 1928 and again in the 1930s captured the public imagination in a way that's hard to understand today. Byrd relied heavily on sled dogs for polar travel, and the Malamute's combination of power, endurance, and cold weather resilience made them ideal. His expeditions featured Alaskan Malamutes prominently, and the resulting media coverage brought the breed to a much wider audience. Suddenly, people across America and beyond were reading about these extraordinary dogs and wanting to know more. Around the same time, a small number of dedicated breeders began serious efforts to find and restore purebred Malamute stock. Arthur Walden of New Hampshire was one of the first significant figures in this effort. He was followed by breeders like Paul Volcker and, perhaps most importantly, Milton and Eva Seeley, whose Kotzebue bloodline, named after the Kotzebue Sound, the ancestral home of the Malamute people, became the foundation of the modern breed. The Seeleys worked tirelessly to establish a consistent, healthy, purebred Malamute population, and their contribution to the breed cannot be overstated, as it directly contributed to their success today. In 1935, the American Kennel Club officially recognized the Alaskan Malamute. It was a huge moment, formal recognition that this was a distinct, established breed with a documented standard. The future finally looked secure with its rollercoaster success. Then World War II happened. During the war, Malamutes were donated in large numbers to the military effort. They served as search and rescue dogs, freight haulers in mountainous terrain, and general working dogs in extreme conditions. But the war took a devastating toll. Many dogs simply didn't come back. By the time the war ended, it's estimated that as few as 30 registered purebred Alaskan Malamutes were still alive. 30. For a breed that had survived thousands of years in the Arctic, it was a near-fatal blow. Breeders had to rebuild almost from nothing once again. Down but not out, new bloodlines were introduced carefully and deliberately, and, over the following decades, the Malamute population was painstakingly restored. The fact that the breed exists today, healthy, recognized, and loved around the world, is a genuinely remarkable story of human dedication and perseverance. Other breeds haven't been as fortunate in similar scenarios. So, what are Alaskan Malamutes actually like to live with? Because their history tells you a lot, but their personality is where things get really interesting. Malamutes are, at their core, pack animals. They were bred to work in teams, to live in close quarters with both humans and other dogs, and to operate within a social hierarchy. That means they are deeply social creatures. They crave companionship and do not cope well when left alone for extended periods. Separation anxiety is a genuine issue with this breed. If your lifestyle involves long hours away from home with no one around, a Malamute will struggle as they are bred for the complete opposite reasons, working and around its fellow dogs and humans. They are famously affectionate and loyal with their families, warm, playful, and gentle, even with children, when properly socialized. But here's a fun fact that always surprises people. Malamutes make absolutely terrible guard dogs. They're friendly with almost everyone, including strangers. Don't get one expecting it to protect your house. It'll probably show the burglar where the good stuff is, as they're so people-orientated. This likely comes from their working history, not being around too many people unless they are directly working with them for long stretches of time. Where it gets more complex is their intelligence and independence. Malamutes are exceptionally smart, but they're not smart in the biddable, eager-to-please way of a border collie or a golden retriever. Remember, these were dogs bred to make decisions independently on the trail. When the ice shifts or a route becomes dangerous, a Malamute doesn't wait for instructions. It thinks. This is why sled dogs are still used instead of perfectly capable cars in these regions. They can understand and read the ice below them. That independent judgment was essential for survival, and thousands of years of selective breeding have made it deeply ingrained. In a domestic setting, it can come across as stubbornness. They'll hear your command, consider it, and sometimes simply decide that their plan is better. Training a Malamute requires patience, consistency, and genuine engagement. Short, repetitive sessions and heavy-handed approaches will get you nowhere. They also carry a strong prey drive inherited from their hunting ancestry. Small animals, cats, rabbits, small dogs, can trigger instincts that are very difficult to override, especially in an unsocialized Malamute. Early and thorough socialization from puppyhood is not optional. It's essential. One final thing on temperament. They are vocal, not barkers in the traditional sense, but communicators. Howling, grumbling, mumbling, that distinctive talking sound that Malamute and German Shepherd owners know so well, these dogs will tell you exactly how they feel about everything at length, with great enthusiasm. If you live somewhere with thin walls and close neighbors, that's worth factoring in. Now for the part that really matters if you're thinking about bringing one of these dogs into your life. Because too many people fall in love with how Malamutes look and don't fully think through what ownership actually involves. Exercise is non-negotiable, and the amount required is significant. These are dogs built to work for hours in extreme conditions. A short walk around the block is not exercise for a Malamute. It's barely a warm-up. Plan for at least 90 minutes to 2 hours of genuine physical activity every day, and on top of that, mental stimulation. Puzzle feeders, training sessions, nose work. A bored Malamute is a destructive Malamute. Hiking, swimming, weight pulling, these are all excellent outlets. They genuinely thrive when they have a purpose. The coat is magnificent and it is absolutely relentless. That thick double coat is an engineering marvel for Arctic survival. But in a domestic setting, it means serious shedding year-round and 2 major blowouts per year, where the undercoat comes out in dramatic quantities. Experienced owners call it Malamute blizzard season, and it is not an exaggeration. Daily brushing during heavy shedding, regular grooming year-round, and a very good vacuum cleaner are all mandatory. On climate, yes, these are Arctic dogs, but Malamutes can adapt to warmer climates with the right management. That means shade, constant access to fresh water, air conditioning indoors, and careful scheduling of exercise during cooler parts of the day in summer. What they cannot adapt to is being left outside alone, regardless of climate. They are family dogs and need to be with their people. Health-wise, like other large breeds, they are prone to hip and elbow dysplasia, so joint health should be a priority from the start. They regularly push up to 100 pounds in weight, so a diet appropriate for a large, active breed, controlled growth during puppyhood, and regular vet checkups all make a world of difference. Bloat is also a risk, as it is with most deep-chested large breeds, so it's worth educating yourself on the signs. Finally, and I want to be genuinely honest here, the Alaskan Malamute is not the right dog for a first-time owner. The combination of size, strength, independence, exercise needs, and social requirements is a lot to manage without experience. But for the right person, someone active, patient, consistent, and ready to invest real time and energy into this relationship, there is very little that compares. These dogs are ancient. They are powerful. They carry thousands of years of history in their bones. And they will absolutely, completely take over your sofa given half a chance. If you made it this far, thank you. Genuinely. If you found the video useful, a like and a subscribe goes a long way in helping the channel grow, and I'd love to know in the comments whether you own a Malamute, have owned one, or are thinking about it. Share your experience, good, bad, chaotic. I want to hear it. There's plenty more breed history and honest dog ownership content coming, so stick around. See you in the next one.